February 2001. Room 9930, FBI headquarters. A 27-year-old sits at his desk pretending to work while the man in the next office pulls out a small gray device, roughly the size of a deck of cards. A Palm 3, a handheld personal digital assistant, a pocket computer before smartphones existed, the kind of thing every executive carried in the late 90s. The man holds it up like a trophy. He tells his young assistant he wrote the encryption himself, says the FBI could never crack it on their best day. The 27-year-old nods, laughs, agrees, and mentally marks the device as the target, because his real job isn't administrative support. His real job is to steal that Palm 3 from the man's bag, get it copied, and return it before the man notices it's gone. The man he's stealing from has been selling America's nuclear secrets for 22 years. He once was assigned to find the mole inside the FBI and successfully hunted himself without getting caught. So how does a surveillance rookie pull this off? In a room he shares with the target, against a spy who trusts no one. To understand the answer, you need to see both versions of the room. The surface version looks like this. Robert Philip Hansen is a 56-year-old senior FBI agent, devout Catholic, member of Opus Dei, father of 6. Colleagues call him stiff and morbid-looking. Some call him the Undertaker. He wears black suits. He's weeks from mandatory retirement, assigned to a quiet new bureaucratic post called the Information Assurance Section. Boring, administrative, the kind of job you give someone on their way out. Now, the hidden version. In the fall of 2000, the FBI paid $7 million to a former KGB officer for a slim dossier on an anonymous mole. The KGB was the Soviet Union's intelligence and secret police agency, and its successor after the Soviet collapse was the SVR, Russia's foreign intelligence service. The people on the other end of every package Hansen left in the woods. Inside that $7 million file was an audio tape, a conversation from July 1986 between the mole and a KGB agent. FBI agent Michael Wagesback, a counterintelligence analyst assigned to the mole hunt, listened to the tape. The voice was familiar. He couldn't place it. Then analysts found something else in the file. Notes showing the mole had once quoted General Patton's speech to the Third Army. An FBI analyst remembered one person who used that exact quote, Robert Hansen. Wagesback listened again. This time, he knew. Fingerprints lifted from materials in the dossier confirmed it. But knowing and proving are different problems. The Bureau can't arrest him yet. They need to catch him in the act at a dead drop, a prearranged hiding spot where a spy leaves classified material for his handler to collect later, so the two never meet face to face. Hansen was so disciplined about anonymity that the KGB never learned his real name. For 22 years, they paid him and never knew who he was. Without catching him in the act, there's no airtight case, no leverage for a plea deal. A plea deal structured around one brutal exchange. Hansen avoids execution, and in return, he confesses, submits to debriefings, and tells the government exactly how much damage he's done. Because without his cooperation, the FBI might never know what Moscow learned. They need someone inside his daily routine, someone to map his movements, find physical evidence, and get access to that encrypted Palm 3 he carries everywhere. The FBI picks Eric O'Neill, an investigative specialist, an FBI employee who handles surveillance and support operations, but hasn't completed special agent training, technically a rung below a full agent. He's 27. He works in the Special Surveillance Group, the Bureau's dedicated physical surveillance unit, staffed by operatives trained to follow targets without being noticed. He is not an undercover expert. He has no fabricated backstory, no fake identity. He goes in as himself. His cover, personal assistant. His desk, directly outside Hansen's door. And here's the part that makes this almost impossible. They don't tell him why. O'Neill is informed that Hansen is under investigation for sexual deviancy. That's it. The Bureau had real material to work with. Hansen had a documented history of compulsive behavior around sexuality that made the cover story believable. So for the first days of this assignment, O'Neill thinks he's babysitting a problem employee, not sitting 3 feet from a man who got people executed. He walks into FBI headquarters on his first day, thinking he's going to catch a predator. He gets lost in the building. Eventually, finds room 9930. 2 rooms, the main pit where O'Neill sits with the computers, and Hansen's private office. As O'Neill later put it, they could barely fit in there with Hansen's ego. Hansen is suspicious from the start. He spent decades in counterintelligence, the division of the FBI whose job is to catch spies inside the government, the unit that hunts the hunters. He knows what a planted assistant looks like. He tests O'Neill constantly, quizzes his background, watches his routines, checks whether his stories stay consistent. On his very first day, Hansen calls O'Neill in and teaches him what he calls Hansen's Law. The spy, he says, is always where he has access to the information he can use to do the most damage and get the most money. He says it like a professor delivering a lecture. He has no idea he's describing himself. One thing saves O'Neill in those early weeks. He's Catholic, and that matters enormously to Hansen. During one of their first interactions, Hansen watches O'Neill pray the Our Father. O'Neill can feel Hansen scrutinizing every syllable. One mistake, and there's a problem. O'Neill gets it right. Years later, he credits a nun from kindergarten who once scolded him for getting the words wrong. But O'Neill is also filing reports, and the scale of the operation around him doesn't match a sexual deviancy case. By February 2001, roughly 300 FBI personnel are working the investigation. O'Neill pushes his handler. Kate Alleman, the supervisory special agent running him as a source, his only lifeline to the truth about why this assignment actually matters. She eventually tells him, Hansen isn't a predator. He's a mole, an intelligence officer secretly working for the other side, while embedded inside his own agency, the most dangerous kind of spy because he has legitimate access to everything. And this one might be the worst in American history. Every interaction O'Neill has already had with Hansen replays with new weight: the casual conversations, the lectures about tradecraft, the pen clicking. Hansen clicks his pen relentlessly while dissecting the Bureau's security weaknesses with unnerving precision. He once told O'Neill exactly how a spy could check whether the FBI had opened a file on him, typing his own name and home address into the Bureau's top-secret investigative database. He described it like a tutorial. O'Neill now understands it wasn't hypothetical. If you're finding this breakdown valuable, take 1 second to subscribe. It helps more than you'd think. Now, layer the pressure. On O'Neill, he wears a revolver in an ankle holster, keeps an automatic in his desk. He's not trained for undercover work. He has no script. Every morning he walks into that office and performs normalcy inches from a man who professionally detects deception. At night, he leaves FBI headquarters, goes to law school at George Washington University, and writes his intelligence notes in the back of a legal pad while pretending to listen to the professor. On the FBI, Hansen's mandatory retirement is weeks away. Once he walks out of the building for the last time, they lose their inside access permanently. They need what's on that Palm 3, the communication schedules, the dead drop locations, the encryption keys that prove ongoing espionage. On the clock itself, if Moscow learns Hansen is burned, they could warn him, extract him, destroy their records. Everything collapses. And here's what makes the weight of all this almost unbearable. You need to understand who O'Neill is actually sitting across from. In 1987, the FBI assigned Robert Hansen to study all known and suspected penetrations of the Bureau. His job was to find the mole who had betrayed 2 Soviet agents secretly working for the United States, Valery Martinov and Sergei Motorin. Both men would be recalled to Moscow. Both would be executed. Hansen was literally hunting himself. He completed the study, he made sure it contained no trail leading back to him, and then he handed the entire study, including a list of every Soviet who had ever contacted the FBI about internal moles, to the KGB. He turned the investigation designed to catch him into a gift for the people paying him. This is the man O'Neill is sitting across from, someone who already beat the FBI's best institutional effort to find him, whose paranoia isn't irrational but earned, and whose palm 3 never leaves his body. When he stands, it goes in his left back pocket. When he sits, it goes into a specific pocket of his bag, right next to his desk, like clockwork, every single time. So the FBI has to hack him, not his device, him. O'Neill takes a risk first. While Hansen is out of the office, he searches the bag. Inside, he finds a passport, financial statements, a computer disk, and a cell phone he's never seen before. On the disk are 2 letters to the Russians. The letters showed a drop was being planned. Specific timing, a specific location. The operational details for executing it would be on the Palm 3. They had days, not weeks. But the Palm 3 is encrypted with software Hansen wrote himself. Remember what he said? These idiots at the FBI could never crack it on their best day. They need to copy the device, break the encryption later, and get it back into the bag before Hansen notices it moved. The plan centers on one psychological exploit, Hansen's ego and his temper. An assistant director, a man Hansen doesn't like, walks into room 9930. He slaps a $20 bill on Hansen's desk, says he bets $20 he can outshoot Hansen, 5 targets out of 5. Hansen looks at the money, looks at the man, says, "No, now's not a good time." The assistant director leans over the desk. "I don't think you understand. This wasn't a request." Now Hansen is angry. And when he's angry, he makes mistakes. He stands up abruptly, reaches for his gun, grabs ear protection, eye protection, and for the first time, he forgets to reach down and grab the Palm 3. He walks out. O'Neill waits. His pager buzzes. An asset stationed at the shooting range sends a message, in pocket, shooting. O'Neill moves. He grabs the Palm 3, a floppy disk, and a data card from the bag. He runs. 3 flights of stairs down to where the FBI technical team is waiting. They start copying. They'll break the encryption later. Every second is a countdown he can't see the end of. Then his pager buzzes again. Different message. "I don't know what happened. Out of pocket. Probably coming to you. Hansen is on his way back. Early. No explanation." The tech team shoves the Palm 3 into O'Neill's hand. One word, run. He sprints up 3 flights, bursts into the main pit, slams the door, goes into Hansen's office, kneels in front of the bag, and stops. 4 pockets, all identical, all the same size, same shape, same color. He's got 3 devices in his hands and no memory of which pocket the Palm 3 came from. He opens all 4. He can't tell. O'Neill has speculated that if Hansen detected the disturbance of his device, he would have realized all hope was gone and might have shot O'Neill dead on the spot. He guesses, slides the Palm 3 into a pocket, puts the other devices back, returns to his desk. Hansen walks in, goes to his office, reaches for the bag. O'Neill sits perfectly still, heart slamming, face blank. Hansen checks the bag, opens his office door, walks past O'Neill, says nothing. The data is in FBI hands, still encrypted, but captured. The 22-year mole hunt just pivoted from surveillance to evidence. And buried in that data, investigators would later find something that made the hair stand up on O'Neill's neck. Part of Hansen's planned dead drop contained an evaluation, an assessment of whether Eric O'Neill might be suitable to replace Hansen as a mole when Hansen retired. The man O'Neill had spent months deceiving had been studying him the entire time, not as a threat, but as a candidate. Whether that was trust or manipulation, O'Neill has never been entirely sure. 3 days later, February 18, 2001. Hansen drives to Foxstone Park, a quiet suburban park in Vienna, Virginia, minutes from his house, where he'd been leaving packages of classified documents under a wooden footbridge for years. He places a garbage bag full of classified material at the dead drop site, marks a park sign with a strip of medical tape. The signal to Moscow. A dark van screeches to a halt in front of him. 4 men with weapons. FBI, you are under arrest. Hansen's response. What took you so long? He pleaded guilty to 15 counts of espionage and conspiracy to commit espionage, sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms, no parole. Shipped to ADX Florence, the federal supermax prison in Colorado, the most secure facility in the American system, where inmates spend 23 hours a day in a concrete cell. He spent the next 22 years there. He died on June 5, 2023, colon cancer. He was 79. Over 22 years, he'd handed Moscow more than 6,000 pages of classified material, nuclear war strategies, satellite systems, early warning networks, the identities of dozens of human sources. At least 3 were killed. He collected over 600,000 in cash and diamonds. Another 800,000 sat in a Moscow bank. The Russians never knew his real name. O'Neill left the FBI shortly after the arrest. He never became a full special agent. He went back to law school, graduated with honors. Years later, he'd speak publicly about the PTSD the operation left behind. So what does this room actually teach? First, the FBI's most counterintuitive decision was sending a junior operative instead of a veteran. Hansen had spent decades detecting tradecraft. He would have spotted a seasoned agent performing a role. The weapon was inexperience itself. O'Neill's lack of polish registered as authenticity because it was authentic. He wasn't acting like a young assistant. He was a young assistant. The only deception was the reason he was there. Second, the Palm 3 operation wasn't improvised. It was architected around a single psychological variable: Hansen's contempt for the people around him. The assistant director didn't challenge him to a shooting contest at random. The challenge was designed to trigger anger, and anger overrides routine. For 22 years, Hansen reached for that device every time he stood up. One flash of ego, one moment of fury, and the pattern broke. Third, the 4-pocket problem. The entire operation, 300 personnel, $7 million, months of surveillance, came down to a guess. O'Neill, kneeling on the floor of a federal office building, 3 devices in his hands, no idea which pocket was correct. No amount of planning could have solved that moment. He just had to choose. And fourth, Hansen's own words in his final letter to Moscow, found the night of his arrest. Something has aroused the sleeping tiger. He sensed it. He felt the ground shifting. But he made one more drop anyway. The man who trusted no one, who encrypted his own devices, who searched for his own name in the FBI's databases to make sure he wasn't being hunted, couldn't stop. O'Neill said it best. It was the thing that made him feel he was the best at something in the world, and he knew it would make him immortal. It did, just not the way he imagined.